A letter penned in 1943 was finally delivered recently after it was lost in the mail for decades on end because it was sent with an incomplete address.
1943년에 쓰여졌지만 수신인 주소가 불완전해 수십 년 동안 계속 우편물 속에 방치됐던 한 통의 편지가 최근 마침내 배달이 완료됐습니다. 몇십 년 걸린 거예요. 한
About
80년
80 years. Yeah.
What happened?
It sounds like one of those, letters in a bottle type of stories. It gets lost and then it gets found somewhere in the other part of the world and then it gets delivered back to the original owner.
Yeah.
So this letter, it was originally written back in 1943. It was addressed to Louis and Lavenna George of DeKalb, Illinois, and it was lost for 80 years, as we mentioned. But an unnamed post office hero tracked down the only two surviving members of this family, the George family, their two daughters, and he or she, we don't know who it is,
Okay.
delivered this letter into their hands, and it took them 80 years to do this. So it was delivered to their one surviving daughter. Her name is Grace Salazar, who recently moved to Oregon, and then it was later shared to her sister. And so their parents, who were married in 1932, they've since passed away.
Yeah.
But the letter, they said that it offered a glimpse into their lives. It was written by their parents' cousin, and it was offering condolences over back then, they had recently lost another daughter, so it would have been one of their sisters,
Right.
who had suffered from cystic fibrosis. And the DeKalb Postal Office, they believe that the delayed delivery, it comes from the fact that the address on the letter, it didn't include a house number for the home so it just had the street, but it didn't have the number on it.
자, 그러니까 80년 전에 쓰여진 편지고요. 주소가 잘못 쓰여졌대요. 그 몇 번인지 그 하우스 넘버가
Yeah,
쓰여져
yeah.
있지 않아서 지금 80년째 우체국에 그냥 방치돼 있었던 거죠.
Yeah, so I guess, it might have gone out and then come back and then gone out and come
저는
back.
사실 이걸 그동안 버리지 않았던 게 더
That was
신기한 것
amazing
같아요.
too.
네.
Yeah.
그래서 이제 그냥 방치된 채로 있었는데 원래는 이렇게 80년 된 편지는 배달하지 않습니다. 그렇지만 거기 직원 중에 한 명이 이걸 보고 혹시 내가 지금 한번 추적해보면 찾을 수 있지 않을까? 뭐 후손이라도.
Mhm.
그래서 인터넷으로 열심히 서칭을 해서 따님을 찾은 거예요.
Yeah.
네, 그래가지고 이제 전달을 해드렸고 원래 이 편지를 받았어야 할 이 부모님은 이제 작고 하셨고 내용을 보니까 지금 이제 살아계신 이 따님의 뭐 언니나 오빠 뭐 성별은 모르겠지만 위에 형제가 한 명 더 있었던 것 같아요. 근데 그 아기가 유산이 됐던 것 같아요. 예, 그죠? 그래가지고 그런 거에 대한 위로의 편지였답니다. 그
Yeah.
내용이. 그래서 얼마나 힘드십니까? 뭐 아무개 씨라는 그런 내용의 이 부모님한테 쓰여진 편지인데 그런 사실들을 다 모르고 있다가 80년이 지난 지금에서야 이런 일이 있었구나 우리 부모님이라는 거를 발견한 거죠. 진짜 듣기만 해도 영화 속의 한 장면
Yeah,
같습니다.
yeah. And I mean, kudos to this, postal officer who, I mean, this is extra work if you
Yeah.
think about it. But they went through all this extra work to find the person and hand deliver it to them.
Definitely. That postal worker has been described as being very conscientious. 굉장히 양심적이다. 인 뜻이잖아요. 외국 언론에선 그렇게 표현을 하더라고요. 양심적인 우체부가 이렇게 찾아서 시간을 내서 서칭을 해가지고 시간이 많이 지났지만 그래도 유족들에게 이렇게 편지를 전해줬다. Right. 자, 그래서 편지를 이제 쓴 것은 1943년이었어요.
Yes.
그 표현을 보도록 하겠습니다.
Right.
This letter was penned in 1943.
Right. So it means it was written in 1943 or it was composed in 1943.
펜이라는 동사가요. 글을 쓰다라는 뜻이 있습니다. 자, 그다음에 it was lost in the mail. 얼마나 오랫동안? For decades on end.
Right. So if we say for decades on end, it means for decades and decades and decades and decades. So, on end, it means continuing without stopping for a specified period of time, and then that specified period of time is for decades. So
음.
here we're talking about for a very, very long time.
네. on end가 붙으면은요, 계속 끊임없이 오랫동안이라는 느낌이 있어서요. for decades, 수십 년 동안 on end, 하염없이
Mhm.
그냥 우체국에 이렇게 방치돼 있었던 겁니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. A letter penned in 1943 was finally delivered recently after it was lost in the mail for decades on end because it was sent with an incomplete address.